leoliad ar gyfer noson hanesyddol a noson gofiadwy i ni'n gobeithio. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to Fagan Museum. What a venue for what I'm sure will be a very special evening. I'm very biased. I used to work in this museum when I was a student years ago, and what a fantastic place. So we are hopefully in for a very special evening. Before we go any further, as with these events, there is some housekeeping to be done, and we're going to start with translation equipment. This will be a bilingual night, so on your seats you will find some equipment. We are going to test them all together, and hopefully there will be no issues. So if I can ask you to try the technology, a newn ni roi cynnig arni, Garmon, wi'n meddwl sy'n cyfieithu. Mae yn ystafell rwle. Ydych chi gyd yn gallu'n clywed i ac yn gallu deall? Bawd i fyny os ych chi. Ydych chi'n clywed? Pawb yn hapus? Da iawn, am ddechrau da. Cadwch yr offer yn eich clistiau chi. Wy'n mynd i siarad Cymraeg am dipyn bach. Larwm tân. Dyn ni ddim yn disgwyl larwm tân. Os na un bip, arhoswch le chi, chi'n iawn. Os na ddau bip, mas â chi, fe fydd y staff yn eich tywys chi allan yn saff, peidiwch â phoeni. O ran yr amgueddfa, does na ddim smygu na feipio, os taw dyna'r gair Cymraeg cywir, felly dim smygu na feipio tu fewn na tu allan. Ac yn drydydd, os ych chi yn un am dynnu lluniau ar y cyfryngau cymdeithasol, wel mae croeso cynnes i chi wneud hynny, a cofiwch tagiwch S4C ar gymdeithas bêl-droed. Dyna ni, y stwff diflas wedi i gwneud. Beth am i ni ganolbwyntio ar noson arbennig iawn. Ni yma, heno yma, i ddathlu aberth rhai o chwaraewyr pêl-droed benywaidd y gorffennol. Chi'n mynd i fod yn derbyn nifer ohonoch chi capiau arbennig iawn. Chi wedi aros tipyn amdanyn nhw, ac ni'n falch iawn bod chi yma heno i gael y capiau yna. Ac ni'n falch iawn bod chi hefyd yma nifer ohonoch chi i rannu eich straeon chi am eich hawl chi i chwarae pêl-droed. Ni'n mynd i gael 2 banel yn ystod y noson. Fe fyddwn ni'n edrych nôl ar y frwydr i fod le ni nawr, ond fe fyddwn ni hefyd yn edrych mlaen at y dyfodol disglair i ni'n gobeithio i bêl-droed merched yma yng Nghymru. Nawr, mae'r digwyddiad yma ar y cyd rhwng S4C a'r gymdeithas bêl-droed, ac fe fydd na raglen ddogfen arbennig iawn yn cael ei darlledu gan S4C cyn bo hir ym mis Hydref, yr hawl i chwarae, yn sôn am frwydr nifer o fenwod i chwarae pêl-droed yn ystod y blynyddau. Mae mor bwysig bod ni'n rhannu y straeon yma. Nifer o bobl ddim yn gwybod am faint o aberth sydd wedi bod, felly ni'n falch iawn bod S4C yn darlledu y rhaglen yma. Dyma drefn y noson te. Fe fyddwn ni yn cael panel cyn bo hir. Yna fe fyddai'n gwahodd nifer ohonoch chi i'r llwyfan i gael eich capiau chi, ac yna fe fydd na banel yn edrych tuag at y dyfodol. Ond cyn hynny, wy'n mynd i groesawu Noel Mooney, Prif Weithredwr Cymdeithas Bêl-droed Cymru, i'r llwyfan i ddweud chydig eiriau. Noel.
Diolch, Catherine. Noswaith da pawb. What a lovely evening it's already been, and it promises to be even better as it goes on. This place, as you said, Catherine, has a lot for the FAW actually, because it celebrates the culture and the history of Cymru. We've had some great exhibitions here of Iwal Gok and different things here. But what a great place this is to celebrate Wales and everything it's about. So it's brilliant to be here tonight. This event allows us to finally recognise and celebrate the trailblazers, the Cymru players who are recognised tonight for representing Wales throughout the 1970s and 1980s. We're absolutely delighted that there's more than 40 of you here to receive your caps, which is absolutely brilliant. Our family representatives to represent those who aren't here, and the ones who are not here are no longer with us, of course. These extraordinary women stood up at a time when opportunities for women in football here were really limited and far between. So you deserve huge congratulations. Your determination and your passion for our sport and for your country, I think, is a testament. It's just such a nice feeling for all of us here to be with you here, celebrating that and reflecting on that tonight. It's a huge privilege to present these long overdue international caps to you. You gave so much of yourselves without the recognition that you truly deserved at that time. You're the pioneers who laid the foundations for women's football and what it is today. I mean, we're here amongst lots of friends here who've driven the women's game forward. I look at Laura here, Vice President now of UEFA from Cymru. I look at Lowry, who is such an influential character in driving the women's game forward, and this whole plethora of people who are emerging across the FAW and across Welsh football, equally driven to be pioneers themselves in driving the game forward here. This event is not just about looking at the past. We also have to look forward as well, because while you have been the pioneers for those that come after you, we can't stop. We have to keep building. And this morning, the FAW at the midway point of our Wales for Her, we gave an update, and you'll hear it soon. We've Bethan and others talking here soon about the progress and the explosive progress that we're making in the growth of women's football. So we look a little bit back tonight and we celebrate these pioneers, but also we look to the future as well and what we're going to keep building here in Cymru. We've got an exciting few weeks ahead on the pitch, of course. We've got Slovakia very soon, home and away. And if that result goes well, we might be going to my own home country to beat them to get to the Euros, hopefully, which would be absolutely brilliant, I can tell you. As I say, we've made great strides. We've got to look to the future. And to do that, we need brilliant partners. And I think tonight we're surrounded by brilliant partners because we've got Chwarae here, who are fantastic partners to the FAW and to women's football. We've also got Whisper, of course, who are doing a brilliant job here in setting everything up. And of course, I'm Gave for Cymru, where we are tonight with St. Fagans, which is absolutely brilliant. So look, just to finish up, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you trailblazers in what you did for your country and what you did for the FAW and for all the women that came after you. It's absolutely brilliant. And I wanted just to take a second just to think about the people who played with you, who were around you, who are no longer with you, and who would love to be here with you tonight to celebrate this night with you. Thank you for the inspiration you've given to us and to all the women that are now building the game up and all of us that are building the game up to where it should be today. Diolch and enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Diolch, Noel. Wi nawr yn mynd i ofyn i Geraint Evans, prif swyddog dros dro cynnwys S4C i ddod i'r llwyfan. Rhowch groeso i Geraint.
Thanks, Catrin. Thank you, Noel. Diolch yn fawr, Noel. A diolch i Noel hefyd am bob amser ddefnyddio'r Gymraeg pan mae'n siarad. He always uses the Welsh language when he's up on stage, which is great for us to see. If I'd have known I was following Noel, I'd have put a tie on. Obviously smarter dressed than me, so thanks for that, Noel. And if I'd have known there were so many cameras here as well. But there we go. Mae'n hyfryd i weld cymaint ohonoch chi yma heno. I am going to say a few words in Welsh, so if you want to put the translation equipment back on, just in case you don't follow me or you don't understand my West Walian accent. But na I droi i'r Gymraeg am ryw chydig. Mae'n fraint i fod yma, ac i weld cymaint ohonoch chi wedi troi mas fan hyn heno ar gyfer y seremoni arbennig yma, ac wrth gwrs mae'n gyfle i ni i lansio y rhaglen ddogfen arbennig Hawl i Chwarae sydd gyda ni ar S4C yn fuan. Mae'r menwod sydd yma heno yn bobl sydd wedi arloesi, wedi sefyll dros rhywbeth maen nhw'n credu ynddo fe yn erbyn cymaint o heriau a maen nhw'n heiddi ein diolch ni gyd am wneud hynny. Mae'n anodd credu yn dwi bod pêl-drod yng Nghymru, a fe welwch chi hyn yn y rhaglen ddogfen, bod pêl-drod yng Nghymru i fenwod wedi cael ei wahardd am 100 mlynedd. A bod pobl yn y 70au, 80au, 90au wedi gorfod mynd ati i ffurfio i tîm ei hunain mwyn cael yr hawl yna i chwarae. Alla i ddim cymharu na meddwl am hynny yn yr un ffordd, ond pan o'n i'n yr ysgol, ac o'n i'n siarad gyda Carol Bell am hyn yn gynharach cyn dod i'r llwyfan, o'n i'n ysgol gyfyn ystelfera, oedd yn ysgol rygbi, ac oedd rhaid i fi hefyd i fynd ati i ffurfio tîm yn hunan mwyn cael yr hawl i chwarae pêl-drod, gan mai rygbi'n unig oedd yr ysgol yn barod i gefnogi. Ond dyw hynny ddim yn cymharu ar ffaith bod na griw fan hyn wedi mynd ati i ffurfio tîm ei hunain ar lefel genedlaethol mwyn cael yr hawl i gael tîm cenedlaethol yn cael ei gydnabod o 1973 i 1993. A pan ni'n meddwl am 1993 yn hanes pêl-drod Cymru, mae lot o'n ni'n meddwl am y gêm yna yn y maes cenedlaethol yn erbyn Romania. Pan oedd gyda ni gigs a Rush a Southall a Gary Speed bron a mynd a thîm Cymru i gwpan y byd. Ond i feddwl bryd hynny hyd yn oed yn 1993 sy'n teimlo mor ddiweddar i lawer ohono ni, bod tîm menwod Cymru ddim yn cael ei gydnabod. Felly mae'r safiad sydd wedi cael ei wneud, a fe welwch chi ddarn o ffilm mewn munud dwi'n credu, yn dangos rhan o'r rhaglen ddogfen, lle mae Dr Laura McAllister fan hyn, yn sôn am y cyfnod pan nath i fynd at Alun Evans i ddweud wrtho, bod hi'n bryd i gael tîm cenedlaethol oedd yn cael ei gydnabod gan y Gymdeithas Bêl-drod. Felly, llongyfriad i bawb sydd yma heno, mynd i dderbyn y capiau hir ddisgwyliedig yna i chi yn ei heiddi. Mae chwaraeon a phêl-drod yn arbennig yn eithriadol o bwysig i ni yn S4C. Mae e'n llwyddo i ddenu cynulleidfa amrywiol ato ni ar y sianel. Ac o'n i'n falch i glywed just chydig ddyddiau yn ôl bod S4C ar y rhestr fer yn y gwobre mawr ar gyfer darlledu chwaraeon yn y Deyrnas Unedig, gwobre Broadcast Sport, i fod yn ddarlledwr chwaraeon y flwyddyn. Yn erbyn BBC Sport, Channel 4, TNT a Sky Sports. Felly dim llawer o gystadleuaeth, dwi'n siŵr. Ond mae'n hyfryd i weld y cydnabyddiaeth yna, dwi'n credu, am yn ymrwymiad ni chwaraeon, a'n ymrwymiad ni mwyn i roi fe i'r gynulleidfa, wrth gwrs, mwyn ysbrydoli cenedlaethau y dyfodol. Ond mae chwaraeon a phêl-drod yn arbennig mor bwysig ar lefel, nid yn unig y lefel y brig, nid yn unig y lefel rhyngwladol, ond beth ni mor lwcus ono fe gyda'r cytundeb sydd gyda ni gyda'r Gymdeithas Bêl-drod, yw yn bod ni'n gallu dangos y gemau domestig, achos dyma'r llwybr i'r llwyfan rhyngwladol i gymaint o ferched, wrth gwrs. A mae gyda ni'r hawliau i ddangos gemau o'r Genero Adran Premier, ac fe wnaethon ni safio, dwi'n credu, ni'n siarad gyda'r Lowri rhyw 2 flynedd nôl, a bydden ni'n dyblu nifer y gemau menwod o'n i'n dangos yn fyw ar S4C. I ni wedi mynd tu hwnt i hynny nawr, ni'n dangos nifer yn fwy eto y flwyddyn yma, ac mae'n braf i gefnogi, achos dim ond drwy weld arwyr newydd y dyfodol ar sgrin, mae modd ysbrydoli cenhedlaeth newydd y chwaraewyr i ddod gobeithio i chwarae ar y maes cenedlaethol ac i gryfhau'r tîm eto fydd. Mae'n bwysig hefyd, wrth gwrs, bod ni fel darlledwr yn cefnogi ac yn annog talentau oddi ar y ca. Dwi ddim jyst am y chwaraewyr. Mae gyda ni gyflwynwyr arbennig fel Sioned Dafydd, fel Catrin Heledd, sydd fel mae'n digwydd yn gwneud y pêl-drod i BBC Cymru, ond yn gwneud y rygbi i ni. A mae gyda ni Gwenan Harris fan hyn, wrth gwrs, sy'n un o'r pobl mwyaf craff yn siarad am bêl-drod. Rhowch chi ymhlith stafell o ddynion, Gwenan fel arfer fydd y mwyaf craff yn rhoi barn ar bêl-drod. Ond, i'r un peth sydd ddim gyda ni o hyd ydy prif sylwebwyr sydd yn fenwod ar ein cynnwys ni. A mae wir angen i ni fel darlledwyr yn y Gymraeg a'r Saesneg i daclo hwnna, achos mae angen prif sylwebwyr arno ni sydd yn fenwod ar ein cynnwys ni. Mae hefyd talentau oddi ar y ca, mae'r cynnwys, wrth gwrs, yn cynnwys chydig bach o bob dim. Mae'n amrywiol, mae'n ddynion, mae'n fenwod, mae hefyd yn cynnwys chwaraeon i'r anabl. A dyna pam ni'n S4C, wir eisiau cynrychioli pawb gyda'n cynnwys ni. Mae yna slogan i weld fan hyn yn rhywle, S4C i bawb. Gobeithio yn y chwaraeon, ein bod ni'n dangos, ein bod ni'n gynhwysol, a'n bod ni'n gallu bod yn S4C i bawb. Reit, na'n siarad llawer rhagor, mae rhaid i gofio sôn am 3 pheth. Mae gyda ni gynnwys chwaraeon arbennig am bêl-drod menwod yn dod lan yn ystod y mis yma. Ar drothwy gêm fawr Slovacia, mae gyda ni benod arbennig o iaith ar daith gyda Jess Magnes sy'n trefnu heno, gyda Jess Fishlock, wrth gwrs. Mae gyda ni benod arbennig o iaith ar daith, mae gyda ni hefyd y ddogfen arbennig Hawl i Chwarae, fydd tua diwedd y mis, ond cyn hynny, penwythnos yma, mae gêm ddarbu fawr De Cymru. Nid y dynion, mae honno wedi bod, ond gêm ddarbu fawr Abertawe neu Caerdydd, a honno'n fyw ar S4C ar gig cyntaf dwi'n credu, 5:45 dydd Sul. Felly i gloi, diolch yn fawr, thank you to the FAW for being such excellent partners and enabling us to bring all of this content to viewers in Wales and inspiring the next generation of players. Thanks to the production sector, Whisper Cymru for the work on the documentary, Boom for Iaith ar Daith, and also Rondo who produced Sgorio for us. But thanks more than anybody to the inspirational women who actually stood up for their rights to play football in Wales all those years ago and for putting that platform in place for the players who are really excelling in Welsh shirts today. And wrth gwrs I orffen, pob lwc I Rhian Wilkinson a'r tîm yn y 2 gêm fawr yn mynd Slovacia. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Geraint. I wasn't even going to mention the fact that he was wearing jeans, so you did that yourself. And Noel's in a very tidy suit. That's your fault, Geraint. Right then, I think we're ready to go for our first panel. Will you please give a big round of applause to our first panelist? We have Michelle Adams, former player, of course, MBE. Give her a round of applause. We have Fionn Owen, who's the presenter of the new documentary on S4C. Give her a round of applause. And also Lowry Roberts, former head of women's football with the FAW. There we are. Our panellists, the first of three. Right then, I think we're going to have some fun here now. I asked Michelle, I said to her, I'm going to come to you first. And she said, is that because I'm the oldest? It's because you are a real trailblazer. When Noel said that word there, you are a woman that comes to mind. You're blushing already, but this is a heat. Give us a sense then of your story, because many people in this room will know it, but many won't. Talk to us maybe, first of all, about your interest in football. Where did it come from? Because I'm sure not many of your friends played football back in the day.
No, not really. I played for a boys' team, like most girls did in those days. I was 4 years of age when I first started playing, because of my dad. My dad was a footballer, and I got interested and then played for a boys' team right up to the age of about 12. Much to my mother's disgust. She kept thinking I'd grow out of it and play a ladies' game like tennis or something along those lines. And I never did. And then they did some sort of article in the Echo, the South Wales Echo, about women doing things in the men's world. And obviously I was there as the footballer. It was a front page article. And then a guy called John Rooney, an Irishman from Port Talbot, knocked on my front door and asked if I'd like to play for his women's team, Johnson Rangers in Port Talbot.
That's gone down well.
The bigger crowds here tonight than we ever had. Yeah. And that's how I started playing for the women. So I started playing women's football when I was about 14. And then John did an awful lot of work. And in those days, it wasn't obviously mobile phones or anything like that. So it was all by letter and landline. And got in touch with a number of people in North Wales and all around the country and so on. And together they came up with a little group of volunteers that started off doing trials for the international team. And in those days as well, they did sort of stuff in the north of the country and then stuff in the south of the country. And then the final trial was Reds v Blues. And we did one for a young lass called Linda Morgan, who was murdered, played football and was murdered by a taxi driver. And they started a cup up for the final trial for the international team in her name. And her mother used to present the cup every year. And that's how it all started. So I was 15 and 11 days when I first got my first cap. And my last cap, I was 35.
Wow.
And I slept in between. So.
But of course, during that time, when you were playing, you mentioned first cap internationally, but you did not have the support of the FAW at that time.
No, not at all. No, we paid for everything ourselves, our parents, and we did loads and loads of fundraisers. And that was for country and for club. We were all the same. There was about half a dozen South Wales clubs and about 2 or 3 up north. And we paid to go everywhere, wherever we went, Scotland, Ireland, obviously England, Italy, France, whatever. We paid for it all ourselves. We even bought our own caps. We had one cap. The Billy Daniels, who was our manager at one time, he actually bought one cap for us all. But up until then and afterwards, we bought our own caps. I remember my dad doing 6 weeks overtime to pay for my caps. So.
Did you ever get frustrated with the situation? Was it tough in those days?
It was tough, I guess. I mean, I was oblivious, to be honest. I mean, I was, 14, 15, 16 years of age, and all these adults, the girls I played with were a lot older than me. Well, I seemed a lot older, but I guess they were about 19 or 20. So, but when you're 15, it seems an age, doesn't it? So, they obviously understood a lot more than I did. I'd just go anywhere for a game of football, personally, to be honest. So, whatever they said turn up, I turned up, and off I went. So, but yeah, it was hard. We'd do a weekend training down South Wales for the Welsh, and then we'd go up North Wales, and we'd all troop up in 2 cars and go up North Wales to train. And then we did, obviously, our own training in between, as well as our club stuff. And everything was voluntary, so all the people that followed us around, you know, be it managers, first aid, and so on, they paid their own way wherever we went, for the international matches or wherever, you know, they just paid their own way. And nobody ever said anything about it, we all just did it. It was just, you know.
For the love of the game.
It was, yeah, it certainly was. And then obviously, by week 2, we'd all set up friendships, so, you know, that helped.
I'm going to bring Fion in here, because Fion, you are the presenter of this new documentary, Hawl, Chwarae, The Right to Play, which will be shown on S4C very, very soon. This story, you must have heard so many times, the same old story.
Well, that's the thing, I actually haven't, and that is the whole point of this documentary. Dwi'n mynd I droi ar Gymraeg, I'm going to turn to Welsh. Yeah, obviously, I knew of the people who've been knocking on the door in '93, but I knew of some sort of ban. Felly o'n i'n gwybod bod Laura a Michelle hyn, bod na rhywun wedi bod yn holi yn 1993, o'n i'n gwybod bod na rhyw fath o harddiad wedi bod ar chwarae pêl-droed, ond dyna ni, do'n ni ddim yn gwybod dim byd mwy, a pam oedd y cais wedi dod yn gofyn fysa gennau ddiddordeb fel gweithio ar y rhaglen ddogfen yma sy'n edrych ar hanes pêl-droed merched. Wel, wrth gwrs, mae gen I fi gefndir o ran hanes hanner cyntaf i 20th ganrif, ac yn amlwg dwi wrth y modd efo pêl-droed, dwi erioed I chwarae fo, o'n I chwarae bob chwaraeon arall, hoci, pêl-rwyd, tennis, ond eto ges I erioed y cyfle rili chwarae pêl-droed sy'n adrodd cyfrola yn ei hun. Ond dwi wrth y modd efo straeon pobl, a dyna ydy hanes pêl-droed merched a straeon merched. Da ni'n gwybod yng Nghymru, mae hanes merched yn gyffredinol, dwi'n anwyledig, neu math yna o ddisgrifiad, does o ddim digon o sylw wedi bod mewn gymaint o ddiwydiannau fatha I hanes merched, a mae hwn yn hanes merched pwysig iawn o ran hanes pêl-droed merched Cymru.
Ti'n meddwl fydd y gynulleidfa wedi synnu gan rhai o'r straeon yma? Wedi clywed nifer ohonyn nhw dros y blynydde yn cadw cwmni nifer o bobl, a wy'n cael yn synnu bob tro bod na straeon am orfod teithio, crysau dynion ag ati. Ti'n meddwl fydd na gynulleidfa'n synnu bod y merched yma wedi gorfod brwydro fel hyn?
Yndi, yn sicr. Ges i'n synnu, fi si'n lwcus I holi arbenigwyr y pobl sy'n ei gwaith ar hwn fatha Sean Misra, fatha Penny Miles ag ati. Ac fe ni'n olrhain yr hanes yma yn ôl I ddechrau yr 20th ganrif, ac i'r cyn y gwaharddiad a pwynt y poblogrwydd, hwnna'n asynu fi, do'n I ddim wedi cweit deall be nath yr hyfal mawr I bêl-droed merched, ac I wneud o'n rhy llwyddiannus fel bod y gwaharddiad yma wedi dod I fewn yn 1921. Be o'n I ddim wedi deall oedd bod wedi para am hanner canrif, 50 mlynedd, a mae hwnna'n neich di feddwl, da ni 50 mlynedd ar ei hôl I dydyn, dim cweit mor syml hynna, ond mewn egwyddor. So mae hwnna wedi dweud, a dysgu am unigolion, dwi'n mynd I rei gormod I ffwr, achos da chi gyd gorau gwylio'r rhaglen ddogfen, ond Anne Griffith-Jones yn ddynas da ni yn cyfeirio at y hyn, a ddechrau lot o chwaraeon I lawr yn Abertawe, lot o dima pêl-droed I lawr yn Abertawe, cyfrannu at sefydlu cyngrair I lawr yna pan oedd hi'n gweithio mewn ffatri arfa. So mae hanes, mae hwn yn plethu mewn I lot o hanes Cymru, ac eto hanes dydy pobl ddim yn mynd I fod yn gwybod am hanes Cymru chwaith, a ella rôl merched y cyfnod hynny mewn ffatri oedd arfa, a bod hynny wedi arwain at dim a pêl-droed. Ac oedd hwnna'n un o pethau. A mae yna stori yma am gêm, dwi'n meddwl yn y 30au, so pam oedd pêl-droed wedi cael ei wahardd, fel da ni'n egluro, mi o'na dal gemau elusennol yn cael ei chwarae. Ac ti'n teimlo bach bod o fel gimmick neu rhywbeth bach fel ato. Ond mi o'na gêm elusennol rhwng Cymru a Lloegr, ac Cymru'n fuddigol o 4 gol I 2, dwi'n 1938 oedd y flwyddyn. Ac eto, oedden ni pwy yma fysa'n gwybod bod tîm merched Cymru wedi ennill, di curo tîm Lloegr. Di hwnna ddim yn rhan o gwybodaeth ni pam yn sicr mi ddylso rhywbeth fel a fod.
Well, wy'n bendant yn edrych mlaen I wylio'r rhaglen. I'm very much looking forward to watching the programme. Lowry, you have been a part of women's football for so long, so many years. But I guess in that time, even in recent times, you have seen so much development in the game, the exposure, where we were 10 years ago compared to where we are now.
Yeah, and just to pick up on what Fion was saying, I feel like we're playing catch-up, right? Da ni'n dal fyny ar ôl 50 mlynedd o ddim cael hawl I chwarae. We're playing catch-up rwan. So, of course, it needs to be fast, right? And lo and behold, you give girls opportunities to play, and they want to play. So mae bleser mawr I weld y niferoedd o ferched sydd yn chwarae rwan. a dwi'n meddwl kudos mawr i'r gwaith sydd yn cael ei wneud yn yr FAW. I know we talk an awful lot about the national team. The national team gets a lot of the headlines and a lot of the attention when we're at events like this, but actually to look at the growth of the game from a grassroots perspective, that Bethan will talk a little bit more about the numbers in the next panel. But Wales is considered as industry leading in this space, right? The way that Bethan and her team go about really understanding the needs and wants and desires of women and girls and building systems and structures, programs and pathways that are built for women, that are built for girls, not lifting and shifting, copying and pasting how we do things in the men's game. And I think, credit to the approach that the FAW has encouraged that approach here in Wales. Okay, let's go and create programs that are right for women and girls.
What did you find were the main challenges then, working in women's football? Was it trying to get people to listen to you? What did you find was the toughest thing?
And I think every generation is going to have a different challenge. And Michelle, you're going to win that contest in terms of the challenges you would have faced, I'm sure. Yeah, I often spend have a couple of beers with Michelle and Karen and Les and those guys. We still have our five-a-side social at Christmas and at the end of the year. And all of these stories come out then. And that's why I think this documentary is amazing, to hear about some of the challenges they had to overcome. Every generation has had different challenges, but I think a lot of those challenges all come down to not having a voice, equal voice in decision making, right? And if you think, how old's the FAW, Mike? 150 years? 40, oh my God, he knows, right? 148. So nearly 150 years old, the FAW. Can you imagine what our game would look like today if women had had an equal voice in decision-making right from the beginning? Would we have chosen or voted to ban women from playing and excluding them from the sport? No. Would we have decided to invest a fraction of the budgets into the women's national team in comparison to what the men receive? No. And would we have signed off for white shorts? Hell no, right? So many of our challenges, each generation, comes back to a voice in decision making, right?
I want to know more about the five-a-side Christmas party. Do you still play there, Michelle? Well, no?
She organises. So Michelle, while she might not be playing football anymore, she still does all of the organising behind the scenes for our vets football. And Les, I'm calling you out here. We haven't seen you in football for a little while, so we'd like to see you next Thursday.
This sounds fun, I've got to say. Michelle, when you see where women's football is now, and that Wales, I feel like I need to touch some wood at the moment, but possibly 4 games away from their first ever major tournament, can you believe that you were one of the ones that started this journey?
Well, I wasn't really. I was a player. So, somebody was doing it for me.
Is that how you see it? You don't see yourself as that trailblazer?
No, because when I first started playing for Wales, as I said, I was 15. And if it wasn't for the people who were there before me, the volunteers, people like John, Dave Powell, Ed up north, and these type of people, Tony Quelch and so on, Ida Driscoll, I could go on and on, a number of people. And he gave so much time and so much of their own cash and everything else that went with it to provide football for a bunch of girls and women who they didn't know. I mean, it wasn't a case in those days of people, their daughters were playing. Most of these relatives playing. And yet did it because we were all so determined to play the game. And they read that in us, I think. They saw that, we were determined, we were fit. I see the girls today, and obviously they're very fit athletes. But I look back on a lot of the girls I played with, and quite a few of them would be quite comfortable in today's games, today's teams, and talent-wise, ability-wise, and also fitness-wise, because we had to. We had to prove a point because we were there to be knocked down. Or to be knocked down, everything we did up front, we had to be sure that we could carry through on what we said we could do. So,
but you have stayed in the game. You have worked tirelessly with people like Jess Fishlock, for instance. You've been part of their journey as well.
Oh, yeah, that was afterwards, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah. But
was
you
a few
must
years
feel,
after.
you know, that you stayed in the game as well over the years.
Yeah, there's nothing like playing. And secondly, there's nothing like coaching. And I've always felt that. So, yeah, obviously, when I hung in, the next step was to coach. And I'd already started coaching anyway, you know. And I was blessed. I mean, the group of players I had at club level who went on to represent their country at under 19s or under 18s in those days, and then senior level. Just, you know, obviously the tail end now, your Sophie Ingalls, your Jess Fishlocks, Baby G's and these type of people, you know. They were all part of our bunch. Yeah, sorry, they all have nicknames in our team. And they were all part of the people who were, you know, that I was lucky enough to coach. And what a talented bunch, you know. We have people here tonight, Gwen and so on. Every time I see Gwen, and she's still on crutches. I mean, what's going on, Gwen? You know, but marvellous talent, you know. So.
Very soon, we are going to have the CAP presentation. I just want to ask you finally, what does it mean for you to be here tonight with many people that you played with to finally get this proper CAP?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I was lucky enough, I straddled the two. So I played for Wales before the 93, and then obviously afterwards, when the FAW took on the association, you know, then obviously I was capped for Wales afterwards as well. But I was listening to Gloria tonight on the way up here. She was doing an interview on the radio, and she was saying that, you know, to the interviewer, she said, my stomach's in knots. I feel as if I should be playing, you know. I feel really worked up about it, you know. This is 50 years after that girl was first donned the Welsh shirt. Actually, it wasn't a Welsh shirt. It was a Swansea men's shirt, Swansea football shirt on that first day on the 13th of May, 1973, and it absolutely bucketed down.
Which means that the shirt was really heavy and massive.
Well, it was. Yeah. It started off big. And by the end of the time, you know, it was just full of, and it was so heavy. You know, people say to you, you know, what do you remember about your playing days? I don't really remember much about the actual games. I was saying that to somebody tonight. I remember everything that went around it. And I could tell many a tale about that, about a lot of the girls here tonight. Many a tale.
Oh, go on,
share
them with us. Go on, share a couple
with us. For a few pints afterwards, I'll, for those who are amongst us, I'll keep quiet. For those who want to know, I'll tell you. But certainly, you know, that's one of my biggest memories, is coming off that pitch at Stevenage Park. I'm feeling so absolutely shattered because of the actual shirt and the stuff, you know. Going back to Gloria, you know, for her to receive a cap after 50 years is absolutely phenomenal for them, you know. And I know a lot of the girls have kept on to me, you know, when are the FAW going to be doing something about this, you know. And I got to say, girls, the FAW have worked their little socks off behind the scenes for this, believe me. And I've seen the work that Owain and Lowry and people like this have put into it. And on behalf of all you, I'll thank them. Thank you, girls. And Owain, one of the girls, wherever you are. And all the rest of you, you know, because you have done a massive amount of work, and there's still some people we need to get hold of. But yeah, going back to that, yeah, it's things like that, you know, naturally do stick in your mind. And can I just tell you this other one? I'm sorry, Glo, I'm not picking on you tonight. I'm really not, but, you know, Gloria was a bit like, you know, because I was only 15 or 16, Gloria was a little bit older than me. My mum used to pack us up. I've got to tell you this quick story. My mum used to pack us up. And we used to stay with people, even when we were training, we were billeted into people's houses. And we used to go to Port Talbot and do a lot of our training there. I stayed with a lass called Mai Richards and her parents. And Gloria used to meet me. She'd come from Newport. And she used to meet me on the station, you know, and she'd be on the train and I'd jump on. My mother used to pack me away, and bearing in mind I was going to somebody's house, only 30 miles down the road, and she packed me up with food as if she wasn't going to see me for 3 months. And I had this bag of food, and then one time, John Rooney said to us, we got a new kit. It's the kit that's up there. And that was the first Welsh kit that actually women had for themselves, you know. And you can see there's the 3 feathers. It wasn't the FAW badge. And we had to pick it up in Sears Sports, which was in Cowbridge Road, for those who remember. And I picked it up. Me and my dad picked it up. And we were on the station, or I was on the station. Gloria came to the train, and we were packing the stuff on. All the food that my mother would give us, bags and bags of food, to go to Port Talbot, 30 miles down the road. Plus my kit, so that went on next, you know. And then the train takes off, and Gloria said, what's that in the bag? I said, 4-letter word. Glo, it's the kit. To back off, you know, and I had to run down the track, you know, and I remember getting this massive bag of kit and throwing it up to Gloria, and then her grabbing hold of me, you know. So we nearly didn't play there in that kit that time. So.
Brilliant story. Oh, thank you very much. We're going to leave it there because I feel that we need to give these caps their new home. So, ladies and gentlemen, diolch yn fawr iawn, Michelle, Ffion and Lowry. Some fantastic memories there. Looking back, we will be looking forward very, very soon. But now the moment I guess you've all been waiting for, the cap ceremony. It is great to see that 40 former Cymru players will be recognised here this evening for their achievements between 1973 and 1992. Yeah, why not? As has already been said, we really do appreciate everything that you did, and I think where the game is now is very much down to you. Unfortunately, not everybody can be with us this evening, but we will be sending all these caps to their homes. I think some are going to Australia, some are going to Canada as well. And not everybody will be here, but we do have representatives for the caps as well. First of all, to present the caps, I'm going to ask the newly appointed Head of Women and Girls Player Development, Vicky Linton, to come up here, and also the FAW Acting President, Mike Jones. Give them a round of applause. They will be presenting the caps. Now then. This is how this is hopefully going to work. I'm going to call your name. We're not going to do it one by one with a round of applause for everybody, or we might be here at midnight. So I'm going to call the names. When you hear your name, please come up to the stage. You will be presented with your cap. And then later on this evening, after the second panel, we will be having pictures. And you will all have a picture together to commemorate the evening. So here we go. Please come to the stage, as I said, when you hear your name. First of all, Brenda Blythin. Carolyn Peterson. Claire O'Sullivan and Sue Young. I think that those are being collected by Alex Bateman. Colleen O'Connor. Deb Fox. Debbie Faulkner. Debbie Pearson. Dee Mead. Diane Totti. Elaine Cousins. Gail Patterson Manning. Gail Thomas. Gaynor Blackwell. Jill Doyle. Gloria O'Connell. Collecting Helen Pritchard's cap, Alan Pritchard. Jackie Williams. Jamie Johnson. Jan Burton. Jan Lewis. Jane Angove. Julie Richards. Karen Jones, MBE. Karen Wells. Kay Merrill. Laura McAllister, CBE. Leslie Ann Judd. Liz Harrington. Louise Stevens. Mai Griffith. Mandy Beach. Mandy Gonicki. Michelle Adams, MBE. Naldra Ball. Sally Manley. Samantha Porter. Sandra Hunt. Shelley Walters. Sian Williams. Tina Cosatori. Valerie Bevan, collected by Frances, her sister. Wendy Riley. Martin Slade will be collecting Wendy Slades. And Yvonne Gagan as well. I'm going to go behind you, get you centre stage. Here they are, everybody. I'm going to go behind you. Give them a round of applause. All the caps from the 70s and 80s. A huge congratulations to you all. You have waited so long for these caps. Enjoy it. Before you leave the stage, I believe we have a special message for you from the current Cymru head coach, Rhian Wilkinson, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, but she has sent you this very special message.
Hi all, I just want to apologize for not being there today. This is a very special event. The fact that more than 40 of you are receiving your well-earned caps from the FAW is a massive moment and one that I wish I was there for. I've met some of you up at Wrexham at Chwarae, and I met a few more in June at the Cwpan, and it is always such a privilege to get to spend time with you, to speak to you, to understand where this program has come from and been built from, to understand where that Welsh passion comes from that I see every day on my team. It's so obvious when I meet the pioneers, I meet you, and hear about what you've had to go through to help build the women's program here in Wales. We're playing against Slovakia on the 29th in Cardiff, and it's impossible for me to not talk to the team about these moments and how historic they are in terms of the opportunities that they're being given because of the work that all of you did to put the Welsh women on the map. I hope to see all of you there, but equally, anytime we're in Wales, anytime we're at training, this is your team. We are where we are because of you, and you're always welcome at any of our sessions and any of our meetings and at all of our games. So congratulations again. I hope to meet you all personally one day soon. Enjoy your evening. I hope there's lots of laughs and some good reminiscing going on. I'm sure the storytelling will be incredible, and I look forward to hearing about it soon. Enjoy your evening.
Once again, congratulations. Enjoy your evening. We'll be taking photos at the end of the night, but for now, thank you very much. Your new caps, enjoy them and celebrate. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Tell me what you just said then. Go on.
It's awesome, and I feel like crying.
Oh, it's awesome and I feel like crying. That's the vibe on the stage. Diolch yn fawr iawn. I think they're going to stay on stage and reminisce for a few hours. They're enjoying themselves. We're going to have another panel in a few moments to discuss the way forward as you go back to your seats. Because obviously, as we build to the future, the Welsh game, we want to develop it further. So, as you make your way, I will ask our next guest to get ready. Coming up to the stage, can you please give a warm welcome to the Wales Under-19 coach, Nia Davies. We also have the FAW Senior Women and Girls Grassroots Manager, Bethan Woolley, and also Laura McAllister, who needs no introduction. If she has gone back to her seat, I'm going to ask her to come back to the stage. Right then. Hopefully you're all making your way back to your seats. Laura is coming to join me on stage. Nia hopefully is on her way as well, as is Bethan. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? It was always going to be organised chaos, wasn't it? Laura, congratulations. Llongyfarchiadau. You've already got a cap, but how does it feel to have that new cap?
I'm not sure I'm deserving of that, really, because tonight is about the women, you know, who played for that pioneering team. But look, nobody's going to turn down the offer of another Welsh cap, are they? So, no, it's fantastic. And great to see so many people here tonight to celebrate.
I think you're putting yourself down there because, Laura, you were actually the woman that wrote the letter back in 1993 to the FAW. Am I right in saying that? To make sure that you could be affiliated with the FAW?
Well, I'm not going to take full credit for that because I think I probably did write it, but it was in consultation with Michelle, who you've just heard from, and Karen Jones. But I think because I was the Bolshi girl who just come back from university in London, and they gave me the job of putting their angry feelings into writing. So I probably did actually write it, but I'm not taking the blame or the responsibility for the contents of the letter.
But that was another step forward, wasn't it, for the game here in Wales, as far as the women were concerned? Because 93, that's what's recognised as the first official Welsh team. But it was just a step on from, as you say, the pioneers from the 70s and 80s.
Yes, it was. And I've always felt a little bit guilty that people have always talked about the 93 letter and our meeting with Alan Evans, the General Secretary at the time, as if that was the start of the women's game. Because obviously I knew from Karen and Michelle the history and what went before that and how many great players there were who'd represented Cymru without any official recognition. And people made the mistake of talking about our generation post-94 as being the first national team. And I always corrected them on that because, you know, the girls who are here tonight were the first teams. We were just the first team under the auspices of the FAW. And that's why the documentary, obviously, and the work that the FAW has done is so fundamental because I think Lowry and Fionn mentioned this in the previous panel. So much of women's history is ignored and invisible, not just in sport and football, but the documentary gives us a chance now to put the record straight and to give a platform to the people who came before me, but even before some of the girls in the room tonight, you know, because they were the pioneers of women's football for sure.
Let's look ahead then, because Bethan, I think some new research has been published today by the FAW about where we are at with facts, figures, how much growth there has been within the game here in Wales. And I think it is very fair to say that we are on target.
Yeah, absolutely. So we knew that when we launched Our Wales for Her strategy in 2021, we were setting out some real ambitious and challenging targets. But we really needed to do that to ensure that women and girls football reached its full potential and that we provided the right opportunities for every woman and girl to have accessible opportunities in football. So yeah, as Noel alluded to at the start of the evening, we today launched our progress update on the strategy. And we have seen huge growth. So we are at the midpoint currently with the strategy being from 21 to 26. We've seen a 45% increase in participation. We've also had a tripling in our Cymru fan base as well. And that is absolutely a nod to the continued success and good performances that our women's national team are having as well, reaching the FIFA Women's World Cup playoffs in 2023. And obviously the upcoming qualifiers as well. And then we've had an amazing increase, I think it's 294% increase in investment as well, which is obviously really required in order for us to reach all of our strategic goals within the strategy. And obviously we couldn't do it without our funding partners like UEFA, FIFA, Sport Wales, who I know a few are in the room this evening, but also our commercial partners as well. And we're trying to build on that as we move forward. Our domestic leagues as well are going from strength to strength with regards to the fan base and professionalising the game as well, ensuring that our girls are getting the recognition that they deserve. A number of our domestic league players now are also receiving semi-professional contracts, which is huge for us over here in Wales. So we're seeing real growth across all areas of the game. And we obviously continue to strive to ensure that we don't just reach our targets, but we surpass them for the future as well.
So growth is good, but I'm sure you want to hit those targets and you just want to grow the game even further. What are the main challenges, would you say? Keeping girls in the game or just having the facilities for them?
There's lots of challenges. Facilities is obviously a big one because we know that we've got this rapid growth within the women and girls game, which is amazing. But we need to ensure that we have the right volunteers to be able to cater for that need, but as well our facilities as well. So the Cymru Football Foundation are doing a great job in terms of ensuring that there is funding and investment going into facilities to enable our girls and women to play. Not only is having the facilities an issue, but also the environments at the facilities. So we launched Environments for Her in 2022, I believe, which is all around ensuring that our facilities and our environments, that our clubs and our leisure facilities are creating, are female friendly. That there's things like locks on doors, there's toilets that are available, there's tissue paper available, sanitary bins, etc. You know, taboo subjects that really have been difficult to have before. So although facilities, yes, is a challenge, but actually maintaining and retaining our participation is also difficult. We know that there's a drop-off from girls aged 13 onwards, and we've done some key research and consultation around how we can ensure that we decrease that drop-off moving forward. I can't say too much because our comms team may give me a little slap on the wrist, but we have a really exciting programme that is launching next week that really targets our teenage girls and really looks at creating that environment, the fun environment where our teenage girls can thrive, flourish, but also develop in more ways than just football as well, but within our football environments.
Sounds exciting. Nia, you look after the under-19s. How are they looking right now?
Yeah, they're a very good group. Yeah, it's exciting times for the youth national teams, but I think the really important message is that without everything that's been done by the women in the room, they wouldn't have this opportunity. So I think it's a real humbling moment to sort of see what the path that's been paved for them. I think that's really important to start with, but also, like Bethan said, about the work done across all the FAW, from grassroots for like doing facilities and stuff like that. Without that, we don't get our girls to the standard that we want to national teams. So I think, you know, this is a massive event for acknowledging how much has been done throughout the FAW and before even the FAW acknowledged women's football. So I think that's, you know, the base of what's to come in the future. So yeah, but yeah, really exciting time within the 19s this season. They're a very good group, and they're lucky enough to have, you know, the under 15s, 16s, 17s and 19s to try and get as many of them into the national team to represent Wales.
Do you think they know the history of football?
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about that while I was sitting there. And I know a lot of work was done around the national team, the senior team, about, you know, pay the, you know, the game for her and stuff. But I think we could definitely do more in our youth team about sharing the history of, you know, what the women in the room didn't have. You know, they probably don't realise how much they get. You know, camps are paid for, they don't have to travel, they don't have to pay for kit or anything like that. So that's a massive thing that they probably should be, you know, realising what the steps have been made for them. But yeah, I think we will definitely, the next camp, this will be something I'll be speaking about to them.
Yeah, it wasn't always like this.
Exactly.
That's what the message will be. But obviously they are looking up at the senior team right now and the success that they are having. How excited are they as a young bunch about the possibilities and that possibility, that huge possibility of reaching that first ever major tournament?
Yeah, it's such an exciting time, and you know, obviously there's 2 games coming up that are so important, and I know like how much work Rian and the staff and the players have done to reach there and hopefully get over the line to a major tournament is the aim. But yeah, for the youth in the national sort of setup, they see that opportunity. We've had, I think it's 8 from our youth teams recently go into the senior environment, whether that's a training player, whether that's going on to the camps as the 23, or actually getting minutes. So they can see that pathway now, and having Rian is probably the best thing because she gives opportunities to youth players. Like, for me as a coach, it's the best thing that you can have to get that opportunity for players to go through. We've seen Maisie, Mary McAteer, Saf in goal have minutes. So that's really encouraging. And obviously a lot of like last year's 17s in the training environment, and they see the next step. It's a big step from 19s to seniors, but they get that opportunity to see the environment and gets that motivation going to try and reach their goal of representing Wales in a senior environment.
And Laura, you've been jet-setting today. You came back from Switzerland earlier today, and discussions going on about the Euros there?
Oh, just a few. Gosh, I mean, I was mentioning to you earlier, Catherine, about the scale of the tournament, Euro 25 in Switzerland. I mean, UEFA estimate that it will be the equivalent of the men's Euro in terms of size and income and attention of, less than 20 years ago. It's going to be such an incredible tournament, a sold-out tournament. And every time we talk about it in Exco or in Women's Football Committee or in any event, my heart's racing because for two reasons. One, I can't bear the thought of going to another Euros with Wales not there. I've just been back from Germany, where I travelled around watching every team except Cymru, of course. So I can't bear the thought of that, but also because it's such a game-changing moment for us. We talked a lot about that, getting over the line and qualifying for a tournament, but this will revolutionise the women's game in Wales if we can qualify both on and off the pitch. All the things that Beth and Nia were talking about are things that we could then put into place with much more speed because of the income we'd get and because of the attention and the broadcast attention and so on. And every time we're discussing this topic, there's talk about new commercial partners who are desperate to get involved with the women's game. We're talking about the knock-on effect of legacy projects, which will drive the interest at grassroots level. It's enormous. And to be fair to the senior team and Rhian, they know that, they take responsibility for that. This is our 2016 moment, when we qualified for the Euros for the men in 2016, none of us really thought that would change Welsh football in the way it did. We hoped it would, but this is the moment for the women, and that's why it's so important, But I'm really confident, I know it's going to be tough, but we've got players who are big game players, and we've got a good squad, and we've got a great manager, and we've got a great setup in the FAW. I'm confident that we're going to get there.
Oh, you're making me nervous now. And there's a few weeks to go. How do you think we capitalise on this then? Because the next few weeks and months could be a real moment for Cymru, for girls, young girls. How do you think we all play our part in this room as broadcasters, as fans, as people who work within the industry? What can we do to help get that message out there that it is a real moment for the game?
Well, all the things that we're doing at the moment, I think, which is to talk to everyone we know who hasn't been to see a women's game and get them into the stadium that Tuesday night, which is enormous because all of us in the room who've played international football know the difference of playing in front of a full house and the difference between playing in front of in a big stadium with not as many spectators as you'd like.
What's the smallest crowd you played in front of?
Oh gosh, I don't know really. I mean, I think probably a couple of the home crowds when I played in Bangor or in Flint would have been, maybe a couple of hundred at that time. But also, we played in front of big crowds as well, at the Vetchfield and in Llanelli and so on. But we know the difference the crowd makes. So I think that's a really fundamental first stop for getting everybody into the stadium. But, let's make this the moment, isn't it? This is the women's 2016 moment, and all the attention of Wales should be on these couple of weeks, really. Let's get past Slovakia, and then let's worry about our next opponents. But we know we can do it, so it's getting over the line now.
And Bethan, for you, it's just growth going forward, capitalising on the next few months and getting everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about that legacy. And Laura touched on it perfectly. We always say if you can see it, you can be it. And having those role models is absolutely key for our girls. So it's going to make my job 10 times harder to ensure that we have venues, facilities, opportunities for our girls, but we've got evolving programs. We've got a number of programs that are ready and waiting for the girls to step over the door. Not only girls, but women as well, right the way up to veterans. We've got a number of veterans leagues and walking football, I know, in the room as well. So there's opportunities for everybody, and we're just here ready and waiting.
And Nia, I know you've been doing some broadcasting recently. Do you get nervous broadcasting and watching the girls playing? Are you one of those that sits there, shouts instructions at some of the girls that have come through the under-19s?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking just to commentate and stuff like that anyway. But no, it's hard to, I guess, not get sort of emotional when you are sort of watching them, especially when they've come through the pathway and stuff like that. But yeah, like obviously there's obviously very much like massive experience in that team as well, but also some youngsters coming through as well. So that blend, I think, will hopefully help, and hopefully we get there. And yeah, I have faith in the team and for Rian and her staff as well.
Well, hopefully we can have another panel in Switzerland next year where we can discuss Wales's prospects in the competition going forward. But for now, can you join me in thanking Laura, Nia and Bethan? And that is it. We are going to let you enjoy the rest of the evening and enjoy your caps. Please don't leave because we want some pictures. We want you to put your caps on. The photographer is ready, waiting to go. And also, I just want to say thank you very much for your time this evening. Thank you to Owain, everybody at the FAW for organising this event. But thank you most of all for you for coming here this evening. Thank you for everything you did, and diolch yn fawr iawn.